Okay, so welcome to part two. We're going to have, instead of it being the lava floods that we're talking about now, that remember, what laid down these layers of basalt was this enormous flood of lava. Now, what shaped that in eastern Washington is something that's almost more dramatic than that. It's the largest flood ever known to have happened on the earth. This is a pretty amazing story. Eastern Washington has some incredibly cool geology, and so does Western Washington, by the way. And Megaflood, please write that down. Megaflood for part two here. Now, what we're going to do is go back in time, not 17 million years ago, but just, tens of thousands of years ago, okay, to the ice ages. Okay, you might not have heard of the ice ages back in time. Well, they shaped a lot of the land we have going for us now. Okay, the ice ages went on for quite a while, tens of thousands of years. But the last one ended. The most recent ice age ended about 10,000 years ago. Please write that down. Now, the ice ages and the ice age, that's what your project is going to be about. That you have to do a short research project on this, a Google Slides presentation on ice ages. What kind of life was there, how far it went. Learn about it and show me what you learned by making a slides presentation. So this ice ages thing is going to be, pretty important. It's back in time. 10,000 years ago is when it started receding. But look how far the ice sheet is. You're familiar with Earth, and here's the North America here. Well, United States, what would become the United States. And the sheet came all the way down into Washington State, right? And the ice ages are what carved out the Great Lakes and Puget Sound and all the land of 1,000 lakes over here, Hudson Bay and all that kind of stuff. But if you think back in time, 18,000 years ago, there was over a mile of ice from where we are right now. See, you've heard of climate change? Well, climate has definitely changed. We used to be in an ice age. Now, one thing to know about glaciers is if you have a big, massive glacier, ice is solid water, but it can still flow in super slow motion if you squeeze it hard enough. Well, if you have a mile thick of ice, it's pushing down really hard. And if you imagine like some kind of putty or something like that, if you push down, it's going to move outward, right? And that's exactly what glaciers do. On the edge, they will slide forward. So glaciers are actually moving. They're moving down the sides of mountains, and they're moving outward from the edges. And when they do, they grind and gouge the earth. And so that's what made Puget Sound. The gouging out of the earth forming Puget Sound. So this whole Puget Sound region was formed in the ice ages, right? Now, of course, the ice receded, it melted away, and that left the channels there. It's called a fjord. And then it filled in with ocean water, and we have, Puget Sound, the city of Seattle, shipping, and all that kind of neat stuff. So glaciers carved out Puget Sound. That's how it got there. The ice came down, and it scraped out the valley, and then when it melted back, all the ocean waters filled in the cracks there, and we have technically what it's called is a fjord. But there it is. And it's a pretty well-defined boundary of Puget Sound. Okay, here's Google Earth again. Lovely, lovely Earth. Okay, yeah, we learned about the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Okay, so here we go. Zooming in to the Pacific Northwest. Here's the Olympic Mountains, Strait of Juan de Fuca, Puget Sound. You recognize this stuff here? The Cascade Mountains with Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens. There's Mount St. Helens. Okay, now check this out. Take a look at this area. Puget Sound, there's all this channel here. It's really easy to see, even to this day. You can see the boundary of where the glacier got down to. It just looks different, right? And look at this, Eastern Washington. It looks totally different. Now, I want to just kind of point out a couple things here. We got the Columbia River, right? And check this out. Okay, now these circles, you know what these circles are? Some kids go, crop circles. Nah, crop circles is different. This is irrigated farmland. And I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But this is something you will never see anywhere else on the planet. You see how they look like sand dunes? Or like if you walk on a beach, you see these ripples in the water? Well, that's what they are. Except for, take a look at how big they are. These are roads here, right? Look at that. It's enormous. What's going on with that? There's no other place on the planet that has features like this. And you could almost see, wow, it's like a beach. You could tell which direction the water would be moving if this was a uh, beachfront area. Now that happens to be full of water, but it's still on the land. Can you see that? Those shapes? Just like you'd see on the beach when the water rushes across the sand. Except these are huge. Look, that's a road, okay? Nowhere else in the world has features like that. This is a unique kind of geology we have here. And check this place out here. This is somewhere you will never see anywhere else on the planet. It's like this. This is an area here. They use it for irrigation and that kind of stuff. But down at the end of it, okay, you got a little city town there. Oops, that's the wrong one. That's not the one I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. Here we go. This right here. Now this is irrigated here. There's a dam. So they're holding the water back. But without it, this is what the ground looks like. See, look at these marks. It's like something scraped across it. You know, it wasn't glaciers though. It was water. This right here, this area is a place, it's called Dry Falls. And this is the largest waterfall in the world by a ton. This is a huge, enormous waterfall. But look, there's no water going over it. That's why it's called Dry Falls. Here's the Dry Falls Visitor Center right here, where you can go and look at it. And this is somewhere you gotta go there. You gotta check this out, because this is an incredible place on the planet Earth. At one time, there was more water flowing over Dry Falls than is flowing in the Amazon River and the Nile River and the Mississippi River, the three largest rivers, and the Yangtze River in China, all put together. This is the world's largest waterfall, and water hasn't flown over it for tens of thousands of years. Okay, so this is an area where you have these, it's called the channeled scablands. There's no other place on Earth that has features like this. You can just zoom in and see it. Now, a lot of it has been smoothed out by human activity, but again, these are like giant sand dunes. Okay, this is crazy cool stuff. Now, people were confused for a long time what it caused it. Well, I'm going to show you what happened here and what caused it. Okay, see this lake right up here? This is in Idaho right here. Okay, and over here you have Missoula, Montana over here. What happened was glaciers. This was the edge of the glacier. And the glacier would come down and scrape down into this lake. Well, here's an opening, a river channel opening. And if the glacier moved down, it would block the opening. So water would start collecting behind the dam, and it became what's called Glacial Lake Missoula. Okay? And so let me show you a slide of that, or at least what it would have looked like. Okay, so what we have here is a diagram, kind of a map, showing how far did the ice sheet go. We call this one the Cordilleran ice sheet. And it would have moved across right where Sandpoint, Idaho is, by the way. And there's the lake that I was just pointing out. And here's where the ice dam would have been. And when it moves, again, the gravity squeezing it like toothpaste, kind of, where the glacier moves forward. Well, the water starts building up behind it. And when the water builds up behind it, when it gets deep enough and deep enough, it'll start to float the glacier, and it breaks the dam, and the water goes flooding right around Spokane. And so this glacial dam right here, that would have happened, the scientists have figured out would have happened probably multiple times where it blocked the water, and then when the dam broke, all the water went running across eastern Washington.